This is the energy of this card. Precognition, before, you don't know, you perceive, your intuition is clear, you have all this sensory energy, but you don't know in a bodily way. And it's saying that you have to risk intimacy for a different kind of gnosis, different kind of knowledge, different kinds of knowing. You have to risk it, the depths of this. You have to, you know, this idea of I might drown, I might drown, I might drown. You've got to learn to breathe underwater. It's a different skill. It's even shape-shifting. So we think of ourselves as mammals. We're not even capable of that. So it is really opening up or rebirthing into a whole different form or kind of self. And so we have the stone here that came up with the heart. Some of us, our hearts have become cold, hard, stony walls, gridded, difficult to connect to, not just to others, but within ourselves, can't feel. And really that has very little, this idea of your heart turning to stone has really little to do with your capacity to be kind and loving to others, because that is the quicksand, I feel like, or the illusion that we can be seduced by, the idea that we are loving people, you know, that we are kind, and not that we aren't, I'm not saying that that's a lie about you, but the fact that you are loving or kind is not the litmus test or the appropriate measuring tool for the actual condition of your heart. We have someone in House of Black that I think shared something really powerful about their own heart space, and I'm going to kind of relay some of that without sharing their name, but they talked about feeling like they had a gastric band on their heart space, which meant that they, if I tried to demonstrate it like this, their heart space had like chambers. And so because it was tightened somewhere in the center, there was a lot of giving from the top chamber of the heart, but actually there was like deep emptiness and not feeling filled and not feeling supported or not having that, the depth of the need met from the bottom chamber, because the heart had almost been separated. And that's what I mean when I say, just because you're capable of being loving and kind doesn't mean your heart hasn't turned to stone. And I say this often, and we can look at it here. The heart is the portal, right? It is the center. It is the spiritual center. You know, people often say like windows are the eyes to the soul. If you're looking in, but in terms of looking out from the heart space, the multi-dimensional experience of knowing ourselves is more than just flesh and jobs. It's in the heart space. And so it's not about, like I said, it's not about can you be kind to people. It's saying, is your heart capable of perceiving more than the Ace of Materials? Because around the center of this, or around this circumference, of this are rocks, earth energy. Is your heart only capable of dealing with, negotiating, and exchanging energy that relates to the material realm, to the physical realm, to that base first level? What I can feel, what I can touch, what I can see. Is that all the capacity of loving that you're able to do? Or what is possible for you to know, and I don't mean know, I mean experientially know, when the heart is open at multiple levels. And so from there we have the healer. The snake energy is the transformation of the stone heart. Almost like converting stone to egg here. Rebirthing. And so we are hanging in suspension here, hanged muse. We're hanging about. We're needing to see things differently. We're needing to understand. And if I'm honest, I feel like this idea that the heart is the entry point, the full card of the door is the heart. I don't feel like I hear this discussed or explored very much in like broader spiritual spaces, but I do love that in some ways it's almost depicted so clearly in the Empress card here. The heart space is opening up to planets. A perfect deck for demonstrating, illustrating the message. This is what we're healing, opening up so that we can have much, much more. And it's not really have, because it's not about acquiring, but it's really opening up to the fullness of who we are, or the depths of who we are. You know how they talk about we only use a very small percentage of our brains, for example? It's partly that kind of message. It's like you are not tapped in, connected fully to the vastness of your own being. You're teaching yourself and others. And this is the Hanged Muse energy. There is no teacher, none. And that's why the intimacy is the three of materials, because again, the earth energy here is not it's not a building earth, it's not a strategizing earth, it's an experiencing earth. And what happens is that as we walk along a certain path, as we see these black lines as the path that we walk, and as we experience, we clear paths for others and we create that knowledge for others. Okay, so it's like we begin to say, to the question, how did I open my heart? You know, I've been able to say to others, this is what my heart opening or my heart awakening experiences were like, but it is not a definitive blueprint, it is not a teaching. It is an experience that I can say, it felt like this, these things came up, this is how I moved through it. But it is also one path of many. And someone else might walk that path behind me, or they might go on a completely different lane. But that act of intimacy and community is weaving those paths deeply together so that everybody navigates it safely, so that everybody gets to the other end. Beautiful message. And so the prayer here is about, I love that, because you know that I said when I prayed today, the energy of the prayer, the existing message, what we needed to know here today, it was there vibrationally before I pulled the cards out and spoke about it. It existed. And so, you know, I talked about more than one way to access or more than one way to experience a thing. Pulling the cards and demonstrating was one part, but the prayer was another. And the prayer energy, like literally I prayed the thing, I prayed certain things, and then the reading started to unfold or demonstrate the energy of what I tapped into when I prayed. And that's kind of what you need in the prayer. You need that kind of like opening up, literally heart opening. You need to be able to sense and perceive what is already there. And then we know this, the material is secondary, and then it becomes manifest. And I say that because I didn't always do these sessions in that way. I wouldn't always pray and then the reading is an echo or mirror of that prayer. That's kind of something that's something new that's been happening for us. But I'm starting to understand the connectedness, the relationship between my intuitive gifts, my voice as an oracle, and then what I do with the cards as a teaching ability or demonstrating skill. Because really the cards are the last part or the material part. They're the finishing part of the conversation, or really, let's think of it, the cards are the echo, it's not the original sound. And so the prayer gets a little closer to that original sound. The cards begin to echo what was said so that you hear it enough times for it to make sense. Well. Any questions? I think I'm going to pull some more guidance on the heart space and maybe a little bit on the shapeshifter energy. And I feel like I go back to the hands meets for this. Yeah. Beautiful. So there is some support or instructions and guidance here. Ooh, this is deep. Yo. I feel like I'm loving this. I really love the way House of Black is evolving, and I love that there's so many ways to make the reading space or the tarot therapy message an experiential message in community. And I'm beginning to understand that once I share part of this message, it's something that we will have to help hold space for with each other in community again. So I asked about this shape-shifting energy here. How do we become shapeshifters? What is it? What does it mean? What does it require? What kind of knowledge is that? And we got the Ace of Emotions. But before that, we got the 5 of Inspiration again with the 3 of Inspiration. So again, this was talking about a big, wide, broad gap of knowledge. That actually in the 5 of Inspiration, we do know how to hold different states here, but that there is a gap. There's a missing piece why we're not actually embodying that or practicing that or demonstrating that or moving through that. And so then we got the Ace of Emotions. Think about the different states that water can be in: steam, ice, liquid, whatever else, other forms you want to think about it in. Think about the idea that water can kind of spread or seep or go in different places. We can have water as a sea, we can have water as a lake, we can have water as a river. There are so many different forms. And you have a myriad of emotions. This ace here, see it as the possibility to be anything. Like if you're playing cards, there are vast possibilities of emotion, which is both feeling, sensing, but also energy. And the message here: to shapeshift, you must allow yourself to experience them all. And we don't want to. That's not just the painful sensory experiences, right? Sometimes we don't even want to be in joy. It can be frightening. Because actually some of the other levels or layers of heart experience require an expansion, because the capacity of our heart is too small. And some of us who really struggle to receive love, there is a widening or broadening of the heart space necessary, and we struggle with that. And so that's that feeling everything is kind of like, well, I'm not going to feel anything else. I'm willing to feel within the circumference or the space that I've already created. And I like to think about that when I think about Cancer energies in the zodiac sign. I like to think about it as like emotional, energetic, or vibrational home and emotional patterns. So I like to talk about what are the relationships or links, connections of emotions that are patterns for you, because you may feel like most days you might feel a combination of neutral, I'm just going to randomly say you could be neutral, rage, fear, exhaustion. Let's say that's your combination. And you may feel other things. You may feel happiness sometimes, or excitement, or trepidation, or whatever. But those 4 are the 4 that are deeply enrooted paths in the heart. And you tend to cycle back to your home frequencies. You feel them often. And you live in those energies, and you create from those energies. And so this is what I'm talking about: broadening the roots, creating more space, like how you would repot a plant, creating more space for your emotions to go elsewhere, for you to have new directions in the heart, new experiences emotionally, sensory. But to do that, the path to success in terms of heart opening with the 6 of Inspiration here is the 7 of Inspiration. You have to keep the heart open. You have to hold it open. And most of us, your hearts aren't just closed and sealed shut permanently. It's an opening and a closing. A bit like actually the voice box, it's an opening and a closing. And sometimes we're opening that much. And sometimes we learn to open a bit more. But it doesn't just stay like that. And actually when the moments in time when we tend to close up is when we're sensing pain. Or look at this card, you see the black in the background, it's like when we feel this energy coming closer, it's our impulse to shut the heart down out of protection. But the message is stay open. Keep your heart open. Remain open-hearted. And so for me, for example, when I felt like I was being rejected earlier, what would be my natural response? To shut down, to withdraw, to protect myself, to not engage, to break intimacy. Keep the heart open. And when I say keep the heart open, I'm not saying keep the heart open to specific people. So what we have here is the Knight of Wands and the Devil card. And these are the blocks that we have to move through. We have to learn to move through hitting that wall. The mantra or the belief or the affirmation that I feel that we're needing that's come through the Star card here is there is more than this moment. Because actually when we're doing that, we're responding to the present and probably a whole lot of the past. But we're also assuming that the experience that we're having right now is set in stone. It is going to become, see the Devil card is like the Capricorn energy, the structure, the material system. It is going to become the programming, the settings that I will experience from this point forward. So there is a message in the Star card, the heart healing, that is, there is more than this moment. There is more than the experience I'm having in this moment, music of emotions. Huge heart container. Remaining connected to the self here is what I feel in this mirror. There is more than this emotional moment. There is more than this triggered moment. There's more than this high energy moment. There's more than this upset, this anger, this rage, this fear. Tower. Okay? And so in our love rehab group, what did I call it? Let's see. What's the name of it? Did I create a name for it yet? Let's have a look. Fear garden. I love that I called it that because I was thinking about those seeds of fear, and I was thinking about the work that we do together as a community to uproot, to weed out the seeds of fear that could grow and become unruly and wild and spread into a forest in our hearts, right? And so the fear garden is about those tower moments in love. It's about those tower moments in terms of intimacy. And actually, Love Rehab, I think I'm really appreciative of this reading because I think actually I will keep the name Love Rehab, but it is more about, it's more than sexual intimate relating actually is a big part of it and it needs to be, but there is almost like a reframing that is about intimacy. Is more the issue. It's not about having quote unquote successful relationships, because you could have a relationship for 3 months that from the spiritual perspective is a success, that to you felt like, well, it never went on forever, so it wasn't. So the issue or the belief or the thing that we're working with in Love Rehab is actually intimacy, like the message at the beginning of this reading is. But those moments where we feel like intimacy is being broken, or our hearts are being broken, when we're in states of fear, the Tower card here, that is the time when we need that reminder. There is more than this particular moment. There is more than this moment of crisis or fear or breakdown, the conflict, disconnection. Three of Emotions, and the Magician. Let me ask about these energies and just read your comment. We've learned to retreat to protect ourselves from being hurt. Makes me think of the hermit crab. Absolutely feels counterintuitive to stay open and vulnerable. It completely does. And let's actually ask a little bit about that. That is counterintuitive. It can feel like that. Love that. Love the message. So in terms of it feeling counterintuitive and that need to like shut down to protect ourselves, we've got the Eight of Emotions and the Two of Voices. And the message here is, of course, the Eight of Emotions is the walking away. It's the void. It's the void. It's the disconnection. It's the saying no. Is it really blurry, by the way? Because I'm noticing a little internet connection issue. So let me know. But what it's saying is if we do that, we split ourselves, fragment. And so it comes back to what I said in the beginning of the reading, that in that Seven of Emotions energy, where I said there were like influences that were muddying and clouding our vision and our perception, but a lot of it came through shock.